Hello, good people. It's Rob Lee. It is August 14th of 2025, and we're going to talk today about false flags and martial law. And it's the type of preaching and teaching that I hope that you'll watch all of it because it's that important to our people. When you live in an age or a time when pedophiles, those who do things to children, the worst kind of crime, murderers, rapists, thieves, con men, and all purveyors of evil can no longer be incarcerated or criticized for their crimes and lies, there will be no limits to the evil they will try to impose on the people. This is a two-part video. Part one is false flags and martial law. Part two is how we survive the coming chaos, because that's what's most important. What's going to be is going to be. A lot of folks don't understand that we're living in the end times, or they do, but they don't understand what it really means. Curfews and checkpoints have been going on for a long time in this nation. But about 20 years ago, they started to become more and more common all over the United States. But in martial law, they would be the norm, and they would be different. In times like this, we need to know what we should do, because what we're seeing is a takeover, the likes that we've never seen before. And we'll talk about that. But first, we need to understand what is martial law. Martial law is when the civilian courts are closed. The life as you know it, with cops and lawyers and judges and courts, and this is how we go about it, that would be moot, null and void. Military justice, military, takes over. And where does the military get its orders from? The president. In the United States, the president must order for the establishment of martial law, which would in turn transfer power into the hands of the army. But the change in power, according to law, must only last through the duration of a so-called emergency/crisis. Think false flag. Trump says he's placing D.C. police, and he has, under federal control. He has deployed the National Guard to patrol the streets. He did the same thing in California. He's making sure that Americans get used to the idea of military in the streets. So you will see military in cities and you will get used to it. What happens when it comes to rural America, small town America? He's also using the FBI to patrol the streets in Washington, D.C. The FBI is using its agents to patrol the streets. This is all planned and has been in the makings for quite some time. Trump is also insisting that local and state police all over America give their help to ICE, which is his private army. And in turn, ICE is actually recruiting police officers all over the nation to join them. Because as we did years ago, we did videos about some of the lowest and cruelest people in the United States of America are cops. The United States military will be used against the American people. And then what happens? Fear spreads. Fear spreads. And then there's a crisis. One that gives Trump the final excuse to take full control. End times prophecy. And that crisis will be manufactured. So what kind of crisis will he and those behind him manufacture? Oklahoma City. A false flag terrorist attack. In the last 35 years, the United States has had many false flag attacks. Then the government can round up domestic enemies or declare martial law. You will have mass civil unrest, and then if protests erupt, Trump can label it an insurrection and he can invoke emergency powers. And what about a cyber attack blamed on foreign enemies? There's always Iran, China, and Russia. This could justify internet crackdown, surveillance expansion, and military action both abroad and at home. Or how about another hoax, a staged assassination attempt against him? Or he could just tell the people, because there are people that will believe everywhere. He might not even have to go through the charade of ducking and grabbing his ear or anything else. Now, this would be used to eliminate any remaining checks on his power under the guise of protecting national security. There are options, and many will believe, like I said, every word of it. But we'll talk about what we will do, the true followers of Jesus, because that's what matters. In 1933, Adolf Hitler used the burning of the Reichstag, Germany's parliament building, as a pretext to suspend civil liberties and pass emergency powers that made him dictator. In 1972, Ferdinand Marcos of the Philippines declared martial law after claiming that communist rebels were threatening national security. It was a lie, but it gave him cover to crush dissent, jail opponents, and stay in power for 14 years. This is what Trump wants to do. In Russia, in 1999, a series of deadly apartment bombings shocked the nation. Vladimir Putin blamed Chechen terrorists, but many believe the bombings were staged by Russian intelligence, and so do I, to justify a war and help Putin rise to power. 2 years ago, Netanyahu and the IDF, along with elements of Hamas, attacked Israelis. Netanyahu used this false flag to garner complete control of Israel, and he's not left yet. And he won't until Father removes him. Stalin, Mao, and many others have used false flags to usher in a crisis, and when they do, they declare their law, that they are the law. It's problem, reaction, solution paradigm on the biggest scale. We said we're in the end times. We said those that have mocked Jesus would not eat. We said this 18 months ago. It's not been slow coming. It's Father's time and His will being done. As I've said it before, many people, when I said all this, said, no, it's not going to happen. It hasn't happened yet. It's going to happen. It's knocking at the door now. Here it is. The mockery of the Father and Jesus, people are going to have to answer for it. You see, the gears of our Father, of His will, don't grind slow, just steady and sure. Dictators and evil doesn't wait for chaos. They create it. And Trump and the evil behind him is laying the groundwork for a manufactured crisis that will change life forevermore. We're not watching a maybe anymore. It's here. It's right here. He's already deporting people en masse. And I know many of you may say that you're glad to get rid of the brown people. I understand to a point, but maybe you don't understand. There are people in this nation, black, white, tan, red, yellow, whatever the color, that are evil. This is true enough. However, many of those brown people feed you. You see, because our people aren't in the fields working. White people, MAGA, you ain't going to go work in the fields for 12 to 14 hours a day. It ain't going to happen. Black people, you ain't in the fields. Brown people are. People don't like hearing that. So Trump is already deporting people en masse, including U.S. citizens, legal residents. He's building concentration camps, one called Alligator Alcatraz in Florida and in other states. He's publicly threatened to imprison his critics, and thanks to a Supreme Court ruling last summer, he now has legal immunity for anything he does that can be labeled an official act. That ruling by a corrupt and evil Supreme Court gave him carte blanche, a blank check. You see, because the only real law should be your Father's law. But like always, white people have to learn the hard way. You see, the Israelites have to learn the hard way. When you walk away from the Father, the further that you walk away, the worse it's going to get. His supporters and blind followers, the MAGA people, the Israeli First people, the beast they support will soon turn on them. In fact, it already has. They're paying more for their food, their medication, and most of them are still cheering because they're still waiting on their hero to make it great again. It will never happen. America will collapse. Supply lines are going to be severed and cut as food becomes scarce. Going back to the brown people about feeding this nation, you don't have them, nearly as many of them, work in the fields because they don't want to be deported and put in prison. The food that you're eating now is what America has, it's been grown here. In the fall and winter, a lot of the food that you eat and into the spring comes from Canada and Mexico and Brazil. Well, we've hit them with tariffs so high that you may see prices so outrageously high that people can't afford to eat food in the fall and the winter. If there will be food from these nations, this is what Trump has been doing, and it's your Father's will. All businesses would run out of supplies, shut down, and be looted. You would see the darkest and most vile side of people as they look for help in any way they can get it. Some of them will be your family and friends. You see, we've become dependent on the system, but the time is coming. It's knocking loudly. There will be no system. It will be shut down, and the dependence on the system will be null and void. However, hear me well, brothers and sisters. The system will shut down. But let me tell you what will not shut down. Jehovah, and that is his name. The name of God is Jehovah. The name of the one true Father is Jehovah. And if you want to give me any other kind of asinine nonsense about that's not his real name, open up the 1611 King James Bible and show me where it says his name is any other but Jehovah. He won't shut down. He never shuts down. Jesus, and that is his name, he sits at the right hand of the Father. He won't shut down. The truth of your Father won't shut down. The promises and great love of your Father and Jesus for their children will never shut down. Therefore, if you and I are going to be dependent on something, how about we be dependent on our Father through Jesus for everything? Through him, you'll have your peace, your strength, your water, your food, and power. For all these things are nothing for our Father to give us, for we are his children. Part 2. How do we survive the coming chaos? Because it's not only about food and water. You have to have food and water. But there's something else that people are missing. It's about interaction with those that are a part of this evil world. Because when all this happens, and you're starting to see it now, the cults are going to follow their cult leaders. You should have as little contact and conversation with people as possible. I don't care who it is, even your own family. Let me say it again for you. You should have as little contact and conversation with people as possible. Be wise in what you say and how you say it. This doesn't mean that you have to walk around paranoid. It means that you have to listen to what your Father and Jesus told you. Stay away from pigs and dogs. But they told you more. We were told that people will become more evil, dangerous, and cold. This is written in the Holy Word. When you encounter friends or family or your everyday acquaintances, if you have any, I have none, you should keep it to a hi, a smile, and as few words as possible. And when I say I don't have any acquaintances, I have people that I see at the dump, I wave, I say a couple words. Never about anything that's even relevant. Raining. Yeah, it's hot. Yeah, it's hot. It's raining. Do not be drawn into the talks of this world, this system, the president, laws, times, prices, politics, race, and more. Stay away from it. They're not like you. You'll always say it's just Jesus for me and you don't know much about anything else. That'll end the conversation. Keep your words to a minimum. Do not trust these people at all. You're living in times when the people around us are completely, in one way or another, following evil. If you're following evil, you're not following Jesus, and we cannot befriend these people at all. Since the dawn of time, men have put their faith in other men, and always, brethren, ended up disappointed, shamed, and or dead. America is empty. It's empty. It just doesn't know it. The gas tank is on E, but it doesn't know it. America is living the last legs of a delusional fantasy of things being great. It's going to be great. As it gets worse each day, there will be war and distress upon this nation, the likes that it's never known, upon this earth. As I said, supplies are going to lessen, prices are going to rise. Symptoms of a nation that has openly mocked our Father and denies Jesus. Let me ask you a question. Just a simple question. To all these MAGA people, these Israeli first people, the UFO people, the liberals who believe you got to love gay people and you do this, and that. If some of these people know that God is real, the Almighty Father, Jesus Christ is real, why are they not professing his name nonstop? Why is the name of Jesus not plastered on every billboard across this nation? Why is his name not on the side of skyscrapers? Why not? You see, this is a godless nation. And all the bullshit and pretending is not going to make it so that this is a Jesus nation. No, it's not. It's an Antichrist nation. It's an Antichrist nation. It doesn't matter about red and blue, black, white, tan, yellow, red. It matters not. It doesn't matter if you're Republican, if you're a Democrat. What matters when you lay your head down at night to go to bed, does Jesus and you have it's a love affair, it's a bond, and it's forever, man. Many called, but a few chosen. Matthew 22:14. Many called, he said. Jesus said, look, I called many of you, but only a few of you have been chosen. This is the tribulation, and it's here. And it will get far, far worse. Much of the United States takes pleasure in seeing mass murder by the same people that oppress them. A nation that mocks the poor and steals their meager belongings and gives them to the rich. And again, the MAGA people, the Trump people will cheer for the oppressor. Folks will go into churches and wave their hands back and forth and close their eyes and cry and scream and give their money to the state of Israel, when the Almighty Father condemned them, not once, not twice, over and over and over and over. Really think about what I'm telling you here. The synagogue of Satan is a field of weeds. That's what they are, weeds. And they have choked other plants. Jesus is going to send his angels and they are going to cut the weeds. It will be permanent. Let's read, shall we? Matthew chapter 13, verse 41, 42, and 43, talking about the end times. The words of Jesus. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and them which do iniquity, sin. And they shall cast them into a furnace of fire, and there shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Who hath ears to hear, let him hear. The world loves its own. Truth and lies may live in the same county. They may live on the same street, but they do not live in the same house. You stay away from the liars of this world. You stay away from this world as much as you possibly can. You stay away from this system. You have to eat. You have to work. There's things you have to do, but you cannot get caught up in it. Remember, don't talk to these people. Do not get caught up in this world, the lies, the questions, the theater, and the evil that moves it. It's your Father's will being done. You live in spirit. You keep your eyes and your spirits on the higher life. What is the higher life? Jesus told us this. The life that is coming is his kingdom, of which you have a place waiting for you. Jesus said that in the last days that Father will look for people that worship him in spirit and truth. John chapter 4, verses 23 and 24. There are many traits of the children of the Almighty Father. However, one of these traits is that we don't have many friends. All we have is one another on this earth. Sometimes you as a man or a woman, you may have to walk it completely alone, that you don't even have a friend. You just don't have anybody. You don't have anybody here on earth. You have your Father and Jesus always, but you don't have anybody. And you don't need anybody. It'll be all right. You don't need anybody. One of these traits is that we don't have people in our lives because we're not a part of this world. And at no other time is it more true than right now. In the last year, our Father has had me warn his children so many times to stay clear of pigs and dogs. And sometimes this offends people. Even though they're not my words, they're the words of the Master Jesus. Moreover, sometimes even the children of the Father get offended because they have family and naturally they love them. We all have children and we love our children more than anything else. But you have to accept and understand that sometimes the people that you love the most will end up denying Jesus, and there's nothing you can do about it. We have parents, siblings, and other family members, and even friends we've known for years, and sometimes people feel joined to them naturally. But they know, number one, these people have no love for Jesus at all. Number two, they have a watered down, lukewarm love for Jesus that is completely meaningless. In fact, Jesus says he will spew the lukewarm people out of his mouth in the book of Revelation. We read in John chapter 6 where no man comes to the truth unless our Father brings him to the truth. You can't bring them to the truth, nor should you try. Now, I know there's going to be somebody who talks about, but I'm going to go out and save souls. No, you're not. You're taking it out of context, which is what people do with the Holy Scriptures. There may be a man or a woman that knows 2 or 3 verses in the entire Bible. And out of those 2 or 3 verses, they've written their own Bible. In their own mind, they've written their own scriptures. Out of 2 or 3 verses, they've written their own Bible. That's church. We have seen people shunned by parents because they love Jesus, and their parents do not, and or brothers and sisters of the same family. When family turns on family, Jesus told you this would happen. He did not come to unite us. He came to divide us. In the end, it's not as hard as you think to cope with what's going to happen. It's not. Because the closer that you become to Jesus, you don't want any part of this world, and you don't want anything to do with anybody that's not in love with Jesus, that it's not of that family. Read with me, and let's talk about, I want you to really take to heart what is being said here. This is Romans chapter 16, verses 17. Now I beseech you, it means he calls out to you, please hear me, brethren, mark those. He's saying mark them. Hey, identify those which cause divisions and offenses. So he says, mark those, identify those that divide you and that cause offenses contrary to the doctrine, which means the word of the Father that you have learned, and avoid them. Avoid them. Don't run to them. You stay away from them. The words of Jesus in Matthew chapter 15:14. Let them alone. Here's Jesus telling you, leave them alone. They be blind leaders of the blind. If the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into the ditch. If you join them, you're going into the ditch with them. What does that mean? It means destruction, ruin. That's where this nation is going. I love my Father. I love Jesus. I have nothing but hate for this world. I do not care who likes, approves, or loves me. I care first and foremost about pleasing my Father and my Jesus. I do not want to be liked by evil people. If they hated my Master Jesus, and they certainly did, he told me they're going to hate you too, and they do. I don't want those that deny and hate Jesus to call me friend. In fact, I don't want them to call me at all. I don't want to be a part of anything that they are. Wild animals can hurt you. They can cause great pain in your life. Yet, like so many times, Father's children have to learn lessons the hard way. Jesus gave commands. His every word and teaching is a command for us to do this and not do this. So when Jesus told you and me to avoid these people, he says they can hurt you, then that's what we're supposed to do. There are religions and beliefs all over this earth that are contrary to Jesus. Yet people accept them as equal or even hold them in a higher regard than they do the Father and Jesus. Jesus calls them pigs. In fact, he calls them wild pigs, as in a wild boar, who can hurt you. And he says, stay away from these people. Avoid them. Just what he just got through telling you. Avoid them. Leave them alone. He tells us that if it's not planted by my Father, it shall be rooted up. He says we will know them by their fruits. By their fruits. And when you look, you see their behavior. You see them for what they truly are. They produce rotten fruit because they are not of our Father, and they do not now, nor will they ever follow and love Jesus. A big moment in your life comes when you understand that you're not like others. You embrace it because it's more valuable than all the gold on this earth. Jesus told you again, do not give your pearls to pigs, and do not give that which is holy, holy, brethren, holy, unto dogs. Again, let's read what we've read many times in our ministry, Matthew 7:6. And let's do as Jesus instructed us. The words of Jesus, give not that which is holy unto the dogs. Neither cast ye your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under feet and turn again and rend you, which means gore you. They'll try to hurt you. Jesus never shied away from the truth because he was and is the truth personified. He tells us what they are and how to deal with them. He does not tell us to convert them or befriend them. In fact, he tells us to avoid sharing the truth that we have with them. He calls them pigs and dogs for a reason. Do not give your pearls, your truth. Do not give what is holy unto these people. If you do, they're going to try to use it to harm you. It matters not the times. You've no business not obeying your king when he says stay away from wild animals. Stay away from them. Our destination is not going to change no matter what the circumstances are, not ever. The one in control, yes, complete and total control, will not change no matter how much chaos is upon this earth. Your journey presses on, and we can see and feel the end is near. It's called spiritual discernment when you know this is happening. Life is about Jesus, not the state of Israel, not the Jewish people. It is Jesus that rebukes you. It is Jesus that has condemned you. It is Jesus that is coming for you. And you, brethren, as his children, you are loved. You've always been loved. Jesus says follow him. And as we follow him and he walks before us and leads our way, he sets our path. He is the way. We must trust our Father and Jesus completely. We live by the word. Your Father will never fail to keep his promises. However, he demands and commands that you live the way he says. We must live in spirit. And you have already learned what they don't. The greatest lesson that men and women can learn is that we cannot make it without our Father, period. And your Father gave you his image in Jesus and said, follow him. You hold on to Jesus and he'll take you home. When others are going under and going into ditches, Jesus will take care of you. It's guaranteed. Your Father cannot lie. Every other man or woman that's ever walked this earth lies. Your Father and Jesus can't lie. The people have mocked the Father and Jesus, and they've done it blatantly. Do you know what that means? It means they do it with no shame. With no shame. They do it because they don't know them. Our Father is truly wonderful and loving beyond what we can understand. And Jesus is an extension of him. Stay away from pigs and dogs. You keep your hand in Jesus' hand, and you'll never have any desire to go and talk to pigs and dogs. In the name of Jesus, I thank you for being here. Amen.